So in number 1, they're asking for the secant of 110. And I know the secant is the reciprocal of the cosine. And I can use my little cheat sheet if I can't remember that. So there's 2 ways to do it. You find the cosine of 110, and then you do 1 divided by second answer, and that will give you the secant. Or you just type in your calculator 1 divided by cosine of 110, and you get your answer. And you need to round it to 4 places. So the answer is negative 2.9238. You round it to 4 places. So that's the answer to this one right here. Number 5 gives us this problem right here, and they don't give us this side right here. So we use the Pythagorean theorem, and we find that this bottom side here is a 9. And the theta is right here on the bottom. So that means that this side here, this 9, is the adjacent, the 15 is the hypotenuse, and the 12 is the opposite. And they want us to find the cosine of theta. Well, cosine of theta is adjacent over hypotenuse, which is 9 over 15, and that reduces to 3 over 5. So that's the answer to number 5. Number 9, first of all, you're going to draw a right triangle, and you can draw the same right triangle every single time. The right angle is always the C. Just so you know, the right angle is always the C, and you can put the A and the B in the other 2 locations. It doesn't matter where, but just draw the same triangle so you don't get confused. Little a is opposite big A, so little a will be right here. Little c is opposite big C, so little c would be right here. And they want the cosecant of A, so I'm going to mark this here and put my theta up with A. All right. So theta is A because they want us to find the cosecant of A. So they want us, they're talking about A. So theta is A. So then I'm going to classify these sides. 13 would be the opposite of A, and 21 would be the hypotenuse from A, which hypotenuse never changes. But if they were talking about B, then it would be adjacent. You know, depending on what angle they're talking about, it's either opposite or adjacent, the other 2 sides, okay? So cosecant of theta is the reverse of sine, so it's hypotenuse over opposite. Do we have the opposite and the hypotenuse? Yes. So we don't have to find the third side. You don't always have to find the third side.
And the third side would be adjacent?
Adjacent, because it's the guy next to the theta that's not the hypotenuse.
So
the guy.
It's just 21 over 13.
So it's 21 over 13, and that should be your answer. All of the information you're using we've learned in class. But then you have to be a little bit more specific. So we still draw the right triangle. And theta is never the right angle. Ever, 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 ever. And when I draw it, if I'm not told where to put it, I just put it on the floor if I have a choice. I put it here on the floor. You can give it the other one. It doesn't matter. It just cannot be the right triangle. All right? Well, if secant is the cousin of cosine, then the 5 is the hypotenuse and the 3 is the adjacent. Everybody pay attention. So they tell you that the secant is 5/3. We go to our little cheat sheet and we find out that secant is hypotenuse over adjacent. That means that the hypotenuse is 5 and the adjacent is 3. So if I were to choose that theta was the guy on top, which I never do, if I have a choice, I always put him on the floor, and then I get used to doing the same thing and I don't have to stop and think. There's a lot to think about, and you guys are still learning it, so I put him on the floor. The adjacent's the guy on the floor, the hypotenuse is the hypotenuse, and the other guy's the opposite, okay? So now they want the tangent. Tangent is the opposite over adjacent, right? Well, I don't have the opposite, so in this case I have to find him, okay? So it's going to be x squared plus 3 squared equals 5 squared. X squared equals 25 minus 9. X squared equals 16. X equals 4.
And so you do that to find
because I needed the opposite. Okay, so they tell me what the secant is. I figure out secant's hypotenuse over adjacent. I know that the hypotenuse is 5, the adjacent is 3. I draw my triangle, put the numbers in, and they're saying, you need to find the tangent. In this case, I need the opposite on the adjacent. I only have the adjacent. This guy's the adjacent right here. So I need to find the opposite. I found the opposite right here. And now the tan of theta is 4/3. And we're done.